Welcome to the Accent Training Podcast, a podcast where I teach English learners how to harness the sounds of the American accent. That's right, we learn the American accent without overcomplicating things by using all the complex words that make it a little intimidating. I break down some of the major components of American speech, and I explain them to you right here. Today, however, we're not going to talk so much about accent. Today's focus is going to revolve around eggs. That's right, eggs. We eat eggs all over the world, whether you're in East Asia, or the Middle East, or Eastern Europe, or Western Europe, or the United States, Canada, or anywhere in Latin America, you will find that eggs are on the menu. Why is this? Well, this is because eggs are cheap and they're easy to come across. Animals lay eggs, we cook eggs. It's a wonderful relationship that we have. Now, if an English speaker is ever cooking your breakfast, they just might ask you, how do you like your eggs? And you know something? I'm willing to bet that a lot of people would understand that to mean, do you like eggs? To which they would reply, yes, I like eggs. Or no, I don't like eggs. However, if you are ever asked, how do you like your eggs? They're simply asking, how do you like your eggs to be cooked? What is your favorite way to eat eggs? And so I'd like to take a little time today to make sure that you know how to answer this question, so that the day that you are asked this question, you don't have to hesitate, so that you can easily communicate just what you want to eat for breakfast. I want to make sure that you have variety, my friend. So let's jump right into it. If somebody asks you, how do you like your eggs? One of the most common ways that people eat eggs, and one of the easiest ways to cook eggs, is what we call sunny side up. Sunny side up. This is when you have some butter frying in a pan, and you cook the egg without flipping it. So the yolk, it looks like a little sun. The yolk is pointing upwards. Sunny side up. The egg is not flipped. It is simply taken straight from the pan and put on your plate. Or maybe your sandwich. You could put that on a sandwich. Personally, I would just put it on a plate. Now, if you ever come across sunny side up eggs, you may know that there are different ways that this can be cooked. You can cook it for a long time and make the yolk, that yellow spot in the middle, the yolk. You can make the yolk real hard if you cook it for a long time. Or it can be runny. Someone may say, how do you like your sunny side up eggs? Do you like them runny? And they're simply saying, do you want the yolk to be liquidy, where it kind of leaks through the membrane of the egg? Or do you want it hard? Runny or hard? Personally, I like it runny. I like it runny, and then I can dip some toast in it. Or some home fries, some potatoes. Dip that into my egg yolk. Delicious. So sunny side up eggs. That is the first way to cook eggs that we are discussing today. The egg is fried in butter, maybe 4 minutes, 2 to 4 minutes, and then put right on a plate. Ready to go. Now another common way to cook eggs is what we call over easy. Over easy. Now, over easy eggs are very similar to sunny side up eggs, except we flip them. That's right. Once again, you put your egg onto a pan in some butter. You leave it until all of the egg white has gotten hard and it's started to cook, and then you just flip it over. And you leave it like that for another, maybe a minute or two. 1 or 2 minutes, max. No more than that. Unless you don't want it to be runny. Again, if you want that egg yolk hard, you just cook it longer, right? And then after that egg has been flipped and cooked, you put it on a plate, ready to go. Or again, like I said, on a sandwich. This is a common way to cook an egg if you're going to put it on a sandwich. If it's over easy, it's less likely to be runny than if it's sunny side up, right? So that's our second method of cooking eggs today. Over easy. Over easy. The egg is fried and it's flipped. Sunny side up, it's fried and it's unflipped. Two of the easiest ways to cook eggs. Now the next way that we're going to talk about cooking eggs today is scrambled. Scrambled eggs. This is probably one of the most common ways that people ask for. Scrambled eggs. This is when before you put the egg in the pan, you put your egg in a bowl and you scramble it. You mix it up. You mix the yolk with the egg white. You break the membrane of the yolk with a fork. You mix it up. And then you put it in the pan with some butter. Scrambled eggs. Now, a good friend of mine has taught me that while that egg is in the pan with that butter, you don't want to mix it up too much. You know, some people will cook it, make it very dry. I like mine a little bit more moist. I don't like it so dry, so I'll put lots of butter. And then a lot of people will use a spatula, and they'll keep on scrambling the egg while it's in the pan cooking. A good friend of mine taught me that you really don't need to scramble it that much once it's in the pan. Sure, move it around a little bit, but a delicious way to cook your scrambled eggs is with nice, big, moist chunks. And you get those if you use a good amount of butter. And if you cook it on not too high of a heat, and you don't want to over-scramble them. You don't want to move them around too much. Scrambled. We've got sunny side up, which is simply fried with the yolk pointing upwards. I like my sunny side up nice and runny. Over easy, which is similar to sunny side up, except we flip it so that the sunny side is not up, it's down towards your plate. And we've got scrambled, where you scramble the eggs. Now, there is another method of frying eggs, using a frying pan to cook your eggs. You can make an omelet. Nice omelet. That's one of my favorite ways. That's my favorite way to cook eggs. It's not my favorite way to eat eggs, but it is my favorite way to cook eggs, because I make a delicious omelet. Now, how do you cook a good omelet? Well, first, you put some butter down on the pan. Again, I use butter when I cook eggs, so I'll put butter down on the pan. Then, I like veggies in my omelet, and so I'll chop up some carrots into small pieces. Maybe some onion and garlic as well. And I'll put that all on the pan as well. Let it fry up with the butter a little bit. Then I take 2 eggs. I break them into a bowl. I beat them a little bit, like I mix them up with a fork, but just a little bit. Not so much, just a little bit. And then once my veggies are frying up nicely on the pan, I lightly pour the eggs over the vegetables which are frying on the pan. Now, very quickly, before that egg starts to cook and get hard, I add a few tomato slices to the top of it. Now, it's very important that you put the tomato slices on top of the egg. The reasoning is that your tomato will stay nice and juicy. It's not going to get all cooked with the rest of the veggies and lose its juices. It's going to be nice, juicy tomato. Then if I'm really looking to spoil myself or whoever I'm cooking for, I'll take a slice of cheese, preferably cheddar cheese. But it could be other kinds of cheese. I'll take a slice of cheese and I put it on top of the tomato. And then if I'm celebrating something, if it's an occasion, a very special occasion, I'll take another little slice of butter and I'll slop it on top of all that as well. Let that butter start melting in there with the tomato and the cheese. Oh, unbelievably delicious. Now, once the egg has started to get hard, I don't want it to burn, because it's not as pleasant if it's burned. So I take a spatula and I use it to fold the omelet, to take half of the egg and fold it on top of the other half, on top of the butter and the cheddar cheese and the tomato. Fold it up. And then I turn the heat down. Like I said, we don't want to burn this egg. But we do got to cook this. We don't want uncooked egg. We want it all to be nicely cooked. So I'll turn the heat down a little bit. And then I'll cover it over with a nice glass cover. You know, like for a pot or something. I'll put that over top of my egg. Just so that it doesn't burn, but it gets all the heat that it needs to cook in the middle. Leave it like that for maybe just 2 or 3 minutes. It really doesn't take long at that point. And then pop it on your plate and enjoy. Living in Mexico, I've learned that you can take that delicious meal, eat it with some tortillas and some salsa, turn your omelet into some delicious tacos. If you're outside of Mexico, hey, just a little bit of salt on top would do just fine. Or honestly, some people in Canada eat their eggs with ketchup. We'll take ketchup and we'll put it on our eggs. So for me, I'm not even offended. If somebody puts ketchup on my omelet, I'm like, hey, all the power to you, buddy. All the power to you. So those are our 4 types of fried eggs. We've got sunny side up, over easy, scrambled, and omelets. I'm sure there are probably other styles of cooking eggs, but those are the 4 that you'll most commonly find in any diner or any typical American household. Now, what if we don't fry our eggs? What if we don't use a frying pan for this? And instead of frying our eggs, we boil our eggs. You can do that. You can cook your egg in water. You can boil your eggs. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you got to do. Let's start this out with hard-boiled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs. This is a very common way to eat your egg. Hard-boiled. This is when you boil some water. And once it's boiling, you put your eggs in there. And then you turn the heat down a little bit. You let it sit there. I would say for about 12 to 15 minutes. Just let it sit there. What happens is all of the egg yolk and all of the egg white gets hard. And then once it's all nice and hard, after those 15 minutes or so, you can take it out of there, crack the egg shell with a spoon, and enjoy. Or you can even take that hard-boiled egg, put it in the refrigerator, let it get nice and cool, save it for later, and then, hey, maybe slice it up, put it on top of a salad. Or you could even make an egg salad. You can do a whole bunch of hard-boiled eggs and then turn them into a salad afterwards. It's all up to you. The egg is a very versatile food. You can do all kinds of things with it once it's hard-boiled. Now, in opposed to hard-boiled eggs, we have soft-boiled eggs. This is cooked the same way as a hard-boiled egg. We just don't boil it for so long, and so the yolk is still going to be a little runny in the middle. Whereas with a hard-boiled egg, the yolk is kind of thick, and it's hard. A soft-boiled egg, the yolk is soft, and it's runny. Now, a soft-boiled egg is better eaten immediately. You cook it, you get the egg white all nice and hard, then you peel away the shell, and hey, again, you can enjoy that on a sandwich, you can enjoy that beside some home fries and bacon, whatever you like. Soft-boiled egg is cooked the same way as a hard-boiled egg, it's just you don't boil it for so long. You don't keep it in the water for 15 minutes. You do maybe 8 minutes, 5, 6 minutes, something like that. Honestly, I have never in my life cooked a soft-boiled egg. I've cooked eggs in every way that we've spoken about so far, except soft-boiled, so maybe that's what I got to do next. But we've got hard-boiled eggs. That's easy. You take a whole egg, leave the shell on, boil it. 15 minutes. Delicious. Save it for later, eat it right away, whatever you want. Soft-boiled egg, similarly done, except it's better eaten right away. Next up, we've got a poached egg. Poached egg. A poached egg is when you first remove the shell and then boil it in water and a little bit of vinegar, actually. A little bit of vinegar with the water. So you crack your egg, you put it in a bowl, and then you boil some water. And while that water is boiling, you just put maybe like 2 teaspoons of vinegar. Just a teeny little bit of vinegar inside the water. I have no idea why, but you do it. Everything on the internet says to do it, so just do it. Put a little bit of vinegar in the water. And then once that water is boiling, you just take that egg, you softly, lightly add your egg to the water. Now, some people like to kind of groom their egg a little bit. You can make it very visually appealing if you're careful. You can kind of pick away some of the uglier parts of the egg, some of the egg whites that don't look so nice. And you can even swirl the water around a little bit, and it makes the egg, this poached egg, makes it into kind of the shape of a teardrop. It's really pretty if you do it well. I've never done it well. I try and do that, and I usually end up breaking my egg. So poached eggs, I still need to get good at cooking. Omelets, I know what I'm doing. Poached eggs, I'm just a beginner. But it doesn't take long. It's not like a hard-boiled egg or even a soft-boiled egg. It only takes 2-3 minutes sitting in that water, boiling hot water with a little bit of vinegar. And then very carefully, you want to remove the egg from the water. Get that egg out of that water. Now, once you've got that poached egg, you've got options. You can take your poached egg, and again, you can just eat it as you please. Put a little ketchup on it if you want, a little bit of salt or salsa. I don't care what you put on it, but however you like it. Or, if you are in an American or a Canadian diner, you may be lucky enough to be able to ask for an Eggs Benedict. Eggs Benedict is my absolute favorite way to order eggs. I can't think of a better way to have eggs. I've only cooked it once, and even when I cooked it, it was absolutely delicious. So you don't need to be an expert with eggs to make Eggs Benedict delicious. And what this is when you have a poached egg, you put it on an English muffin, and maybe you can, again, have some fresh vegetables with that. Maybe onion, or some people like a slice of ham, or even salmon underneath the poached egg. But then on top of all this, you put what we call Benedict sauce. Now, Benedict sauce is not good for your body. It's just fat and cholesterol. It's just a mix of butter, egg yolk, milk, sugar, salt, stuff like that. But my God, it's delicious. It's one of the best things that you could add to your breakfast. So you've got your poached egg, you put it on an English muffin, you put whatever you want with it, and then you just bathe it. Absolutely bathe that egg in Benedict sauce. Oh boy, that's my favorite, absolute favorite way to eat eggs. An omelet is my favorite way to cook eggs. To cook eggs for other people, or even for myself. But Eggs Benedict is my favorite way to eat eggs. And so there you have it, folks. Those are our 3 ways to boil eggs. You can have it hard-boiled, soft-boiled, poached. And if you poach your eggs, you can make an Eggs Benedict, which I 100% recommend. If there's anybody listening right now who has some culinary skills and has never tried an Eggs Benedict, Google it. Just Google it. Check out the Eggs Benedict on Google. Cook it for yourself. Believe me, you will not regret it. Or if anybody's listening right now who lives in the United States but has never tried an Eggs Benedict, don't hesitate. My friend, do not hesitate. If you see Eggs Benedict on the menu, it may even just say Eggs Benny. If you see that there's an Eggs Benny on that menu, order that. Get it. Just get it. You will not regret your decision. Okay, well, this brings us to wrapping things up for today. We've spoken about 7 different ways to cook your egg, and a few more ways on how you can eat your eggs. And now, when the time comes for you to answer the question, how do you like your eggs? You won't hesitate. You'll know exactly what to say, and you'll know exactly what you're going to get when you say it. And by the way, if you're at like a friend's house and they say, how do you like your eggs? Don't tell them I want an Eggs Benedict, because they'll laugh at you. They'll be like, I'm not cooking that. Maybe they will. Maybe they will cook that. Maybe they'll say, hey, you know what? I'd like an Eggs Benedict. Let's make one. But it's more complex than if you just say, oh, I'll take scrambled eggs. You know, if somebody asks you that, typically they're just offering for something quick. Try for the Eggs Benedict if you like. But if you can settle for just a poached egg, the person cooking your food will have an easier time. And you'll get it a little bit quicker. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for listening. It has truly been a pleasure to chat with you. And if you've taken the time to listen all the way through to the ending of this podcast episode, then thank you for your time. And don't hesitate to hit subscribe to this podcast. Make sure that you hit subscribe. Make sure that you give it some stars. Whether you give it 5 stars or just 1 star, whatever you do, it helps. Click on subscribe and you will be notified whenever I have new podcast material out for you. And give me some stars. Let me know what you think about it. Leave a rating, write a comment. I'll be happy to read your thoughts. Well, I've got to get going for today, folks. I've had a lovely hour out here on the terrace with the birds chirping, the sun beating on down, and the wind blowing. Thank you for joining me on this lovely day, and I look forward to creating many more episodes in the days to come for you to learn from. Have a good one, folks.